This is an interesting article that I just read. DeepSeek narrows China-US AI gap to 3 months, o1.ai founder says. And so kind of the bottom line question is do I think that this is an accurate statement? Do I think that it's 3 months, a 3 month gap between China and the US? And it's important to note that this headline is a bit biased, right? Like it's not exactly what he says. Like he says that there's actually previously, I think it was a 6 to 9 month gap and behind in everything. And now I think that's probably 3 months behind in some of the core technologies, but actually ahead in some specific areas. So this is the actual statement. I think that this statement is true. Like, I think that we see that overall and across the board. I think that the bottom line is to me that like China's making the same play in this that I've been trying to tell people for 2 years, like 2+ years, right? That the monetary value within AI and within all of this isn't directly related to AI itself. And like I think it's a big miss that like the U.S. approach, like the Western approach overall, has been to like try to monetize AI directly. It's like I understand like that's the big thing, right? And that's the very first thing that I looked at within the equation was like, so how exactly is AI going to be turned into the internet? Like how exactly is Amazon going to benefit from this, right? And then where is the monopolization going to happen and going to occur? And then when you break down that equation and you actually fundamentally understand it from every single aspect, like and then especially from the physics and the mathematics aspect and the science aspect, the monopolization isn't going to occur inside of AI itself. It's external from it, right? And then like the most simplistic example that I can give you of this is I think a lot of people don't understand like what do I do overall, right? Like so I primarily make money to me from publishing, marketing, and entertainment. Those are the three areas that like I'm deriving income from, right? Like it's not from AI research where I'm deriving significant amounts of revenue. It's not from AI directly where I'm like I don't have a bunch of stakes in AI companies that I've made because I've taken this strong stance up front, right? Like I don't want to waste people's money. Like that's the last thing that I ever want to do within my career. Like I've built my entire career on the opposite of that, right? So then I'm very mindful of that overall. And then so I practice very specifically what I preach within that, right? And then so I haven't taken a direct stance in AI, but to me, like it's again, I see that there's money to be made external from it, like my publishing, education, like every avenue that I'm deriving income from, it's enabled by AI. Like again, so I don't have direct stake in AI, but I think that AI is going to change these industries overall. And then like within that, like I think that this research paper, like diving into kind of what I've just been talking about right now, this research paper I actually found, I think summed this up very specifically. AI perceptions across cultures, similarities and differences in expectations, risks, benefits, and trade-offs, and value in Germany and China. So it's not specifically the US and China, but like, I mean, I think this is as close as you can get, right? This is Germany and China. So I figure it's like Western culture and ideals versus like China. And then so very specifically, what we can see is when we look at the bottom of the line here, right? And then we have perceived risk versus perceived benefit. So the median for China for perceived risk is 3.5%, extremely low. About 20% for Germany, I would argue, would be higher in the United States, right? Perceived benefit for China, 21.5%. Perceived benefit for Germany, I would argue, would be 7.1%. And then this is in 10 years AI averaging all of these out, right? Like how like, will AI be beneficial or harmful towards society? And then what are the risks within it? When you look at the top of this, like kind of when they go into it, the bottom line is that like everyone has the same risks and the same perception of what the same risks are within this, that essentially that there's possibilities that it could be that there's like loss of control, that like you get like a super intelligence, things like all of the risks that would be associated with that, and then that's acknowledged across the research realm on both sides around the world is kind of what this research paper summarizes. But then it's like, what are the chances of those risks and what are the benefits versus the rewards of those risks is very, very different here, right? Um, and then so I think overall, like that's a major kind of thing and point within this to point out and like understand within this that like there's a societal difference, a huge societal difference when it comes towards like support for like AI initiatives overall. It's like literally flipped culturally if you're looking at this, right? And then so how is one country able to close the gap? It's very easy when you have kind of that, right? That kind of flip. So you have like the full country in support of the advancement of these things. But then secondarily, once you understand and again break it down, like I can't simplify this enough in any other way. There's not a direct moat within AI. People want there to be, right? I think it's I break it down to like the Jeff Bezos mindset, right? Like everyone, like Jeff Bezos, Facebook, like everyone wants to and wants doesn't want to miss out on that. Right. And then so they're scared that like there's going to be some monopolization event within AI that they're going to miss out on. And then so that's what all of the money is coming on in the US. But then you see, like, I mean, China's just literally banking on the exact opposite is the bottom line within it, right? It's a simple equation and to me, and like to anyone that understands this equation, which is that like the money isn't in the architecture, in the models itself. It's like building up and being in the game of the models, the architecture, the AI, everything related to the compute of AI right now, you're like burning money, setting it on fire. And like there's no like simpler way to put that because it's so easy to close those gaps just via like research knowledge and then via less than is originally spent, right? It's like think of it like I mean any sort of new technology whatsoever in this realm and like uh, AI overall is going to be Gen 1 technology, no matter what. Like, so tomorrow, OpenAI retains their lead or regains their lead and is like, comes out with some sort of breakthrough that no one else has done, right? Even if they close source the heck out of it, it's going to be found out exactly what it was that they did, their exact differentiator, how that worked, and then that's going to disseminate, and then like that's going to be the way that it goes, right? Everyone will have access to it, and then if you have. In this instance, I think that like China has very honestly settled on that they can utilize the disruption in this instance of that equation, right? That you have like if you look at it like a Las Vegas bet, you have like in the US, like all of the money is like sunk into this being profitable somehow, right? That like generative AI is somehow profitable in and of itself. And you have like like 90% of the house money on that side, right? And then anyone that looks at that equation can see that it's an imbalanced equation, that the bets are imbalanced in that instance. And then so if you are trying to bet against the house or trying to bankrupt the house, it's pretty easy in that instance. That's why Las Vegas doesn't do bets like that, right? They balance it out no matter what. Because all you have to do is come in on the other side and then just start like hammering it, which that's what you're seeing more and more recently, like with these the China model releases, right? And then it's acknowledged, I think, like on the Chinese like side, that it's going to be just a flat like waste of money, but it's the payoff and the benefit of that is that like you're weakening. Like so, you invest a few $1 million to weaken a few billion or a few trillion. Like it's like not rocket science, and but and it's very strategic overall, and it's very smart overall. Like as far as logic goes, right? Like it makes sense. But so I think like it's overall, like the bottom line is that like there's going to be, I think, massive consequences moving forward with regards towards these bets and these misbets with regards towards like AI and how it works overall. Like I think it's going to be a massive like reshuffling of economies as long as people keep betting and investing like huge amounts of money into these models like that you can see here. There's nothing that is going to prevent this gap from closing, right? Like I think that like now it's are starting to see kind of like regulation and regulators within the United States starting to understand fully this equation. Like, well, oh, okay, we bet on the wrong side, and then you're starting to see like massive amounts of push for regulation in this instance, but like that's not the solution. Like it's too late. It's too late, and again, like the bet is too wrong, right? Like uh, the I think other thing that is like on the Chinese side within this is that the acceptance that we're dealing with intelligence, right, and artificial intelligence. And then so if you look at all of the research that comes out of China, they understand that and they frame it in that context, right? Any sort of research paper that comes out of China, they frame it within that, and they have the same risks with regards towards like super intelligence. Like they're very cautious about making sure that they don't build towards like super intelligence, like very specifically, right? But they acknowledge that they're building intelligence basically, and then within that, and then it's an important like acknowledgement and distinction because it frames overall the mindset of like what they're building out and what you're essentially dealing with, and then it shakes over as we see here to like societal differences and things like that, right? You can see, I mean, it's just data doesn't lie overall, right? And when you break these things down to these equations, you can see kind of very simplistically how it cuts and then where it cuts within this. But then, so if you're dealing with intelligence overall, kind of what is known within that is that it's always a way to shrink down the compute necessary for that intelligence to occur compared to what the status quo is right now, right? Like we'll say that like for the latest models like GPT 4.0 and 4.5, etc., we'll say that they're running on like nuclear power plants, right? And then whereas the human brain operates off of a light bulb, and then so nuclear power plant to a light bulb, there's a big way, like it's 100% possible to shrink down any sort of advancement, right? And that's the most important thing. So anyone that is revolutionizing anything, they're revolutionizing it, and it's 1,000,000% possible to reverse engineer what they do, but then reverse engineer it better and instantaneously once it's known, right? And then that's where the no moat problem comes in, because there's such a big gulf in these things between the known and the unknown that anyone that is just dumping that is the pioneer within this is essentially just dumping money. They're like the this is 100% an industry, and where we are at, where I think a lot of people at the top of it understand that it's like the very first pioneer within it is not going to be the person that wins like economically overall. Like they'll be the person that like that is MySpace compared to Facebook, right? Or like whatever other example that you would want to utilize within the equation overall. And it's just how this equation breaks down, and it's like the physics of the equation overall. And then so that's my stance within this. I think that a lot of people understand this equation, and I think that it's just with the the structure of like China overall, they have the ability to kind of like more enforce this like uh, kind of their views into a uniform way, and I think that shows like within the research that's coming out here. And I think so like again, I think it's just a wrong bet overall. Like to me, the way to fix this is like just don't bet directly on transformers. Like very simplistically, that's kind of what been my stance for 2 years, right? It's a simple stance, simplest way to rectify the situation overall. And then so if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe. Thank you very much.